Yeah, yeah. We back, man. Y'all know what's going on. It's your boy OK Bet, aka K Trades. We back with another one, man. So today we actually had a red day. I'm not gonna lie. We had a red day today. Winning streak messed up the winning streak, man. But it is what it is. Trading comes with losses, comes with wins. You gotta accept the losses same way you accept the wins. Can't let them phase you. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You win some, you lose some. You move on. You live to see another day. You're right. We have 252 trading days a year. You can't let one trading day affect your mental, nothing like that. Especially if this is something that you want to do for a career. Keep it going for tomorrow, the next day. Just keep going. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Get into the trades we made today. What happened? Where we go wrong? Where we went right? And then I got some other tickers we're gonna go over. NU, OKLO, Kava, Hood, Spy, of course, and then I think Google, and then CRWV, one more. We'll add that one in there real quick so I won't forget it. Let me see. CRWV. If it would load, we'll add CRWV. But anyway, while that's loading, let's go ahead and get into it. So basically today, oh man, it's so crazy. I was talking to one of my students, and I was like, while we were teaching towards the end of the day, I was like, honestly, it'd be the best place to swing some puts. Of course, they always do it overnight, man. They always do it overnight. But anyway, we had an opening move, right? We gapped down, right? We got a little retest. So I did catch puts at the beginning of the day, right? But I went long down here because, look, we were zooming in, right? And then we kind of got back above, reclaimed, but we just didn't, just didn't end up going nowhere. So I ended up taking that loss on those calls, which, like I said, it is what it is. Because at the end of the day, right, we're in a bull market. So I'm going to be bullish until shown otherwise, right? I'm going to, because look at all these other dips we've bought that have banked, right? Banked. So, risk to reward, it's better for you to buy the dips, rather than try to short it. Even though, if we did break this, this was our next target. But it just didn't happen intraday, with enough volume or anything to make me be like, okay, I'm gonna short this intraday, right? Other than the initial move, like I said, the initial move, breakdown, retest, cool, we got that. But this is where it kind of started to get a little tricky because it was like, well, we really haven't made a new low. And then even when we did, we just couldn't stay below again. So this is why I was like, okay, cool, I'll grab some calls. Got some calls, whatever. And then they ended up not working out towards that end of day. And now we're actually at the main short target, which is so funny because it's like, they always do the move, and we can't benefit on it, right? We can't be in, we can't take no option trades on this. But it is what it is. Like I said, there's always tomorrow. And like I said, it does give us a good plan on, what's going on possibly for tomorrow. So anyway, without further ado, we took Tesla today. We took one more trade today. We took Tesla, but this one actually did go crazy. But I ended up giving it all back. So once we hit our target, right, bink, I sold, had a runner, got stopped out. But yeah, I didn't even peep that it gave it all back. It's like later in the day. This is why I don't trade Tesla. This is crazy. But yeah, I think that was it. Just buying Tesla today. What was it, Corey? Before I forget, let me type it in. But yeah, so let's go over the game plan, for tomorrow, and then we'll go over these other tickers as well. So of course, while we're here, we'll start with SPY, right? Remember, when in doubt, zoom out, look left, right? What do we see? We see a bull market, right? What do we need in bull markets? Pullbacks, right? I think my notes are over here. Yeah, I was talking to my students. Look, I always tell them, people always care, people always be like, oh, it's pumping. But then when we get this pullback, people will be like, oh, it's not moving, or it's taking too long. Remember, if we're in a bull market, it's going to be a little harder to sell and go short. And that's why I always say, like, we can go short, but it's just a little, you got to be quick with your profit taking, right? Because if we're in a bull market, it's not just going to be the easiest, just, oh, wow, you know what I'm saying? It's usually going to be a little choppy. It's usually going to be those quick up-down candles, up-down, so that's another reason why, I ended up going long towards the end of the day, because we just couldn't get a clean breakdown. But for the most part, look, even over here, right, same thing. We got the little daily pullback, but it was very controlled, right? Even over here, we got the quick dump, but it controlled bounce, right? We got a little dump, controlled bounce. Even over here, very, very, very controlled dump, bounce. So it's still kind of scary going short too heavy. Not to say that you can't. Of course you can. I wanted to swing puts, but like I said, I was teaching one of my students at the time when the market closed, so I didn't get a chance to. But yeah, like I said, it is what it is. But anyway, zoom out, look left, right? What do we have? We have a zone right here, right? This is where we had that head and shoulders that we caught the calls off the fake out, right? So we know for a fact that there are buyers in this box, right? We know for a fact. How do we know? We just look, right? We see our eyes, right? We have eyeballs. We see that there's buyers in here. So either we're going to bounce in this zone, right? I don't know if it'll, bounce from here, right? I don't know if it bounces from here. I don't know if it bounces from here. I don't know if they trick people and make it lower and bounce from here. I don't know, right? But all we're going to be watching for, because we've already gotten most of the dump, I'm not going to be, this isn't perfect. This is only if we open up kind of where we are now or lower, right? If we open up now where we are now or lower, I'm definitely not looking for shorts at all. Not going into this move, right? I'm not going to buy shorts into where, previous all-time high breakout retest zone possibly could be, right? I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is just wait, because if we're going to go short, we're going to wait for the breakdown, the retest, right? 748 will have to be lost. Like, hey, we cannot hold 748 no more. Then I'll be looking for shorts, right? 744, bang, back down to that 740. And then we also have gaps to close down here, if I'm not mistaken. Perfect. Actually, let me mark those while we're here so we don't forget about this. Gap there. Always change the color too while we're messing around. All right, we got a gap there, and then we have another gap right here I forgot about. Right, so we still have gaps below, right? So we can fill those gaps, gap for reversal. Y'all know how the game goes. So I don't necessarily want to be too crazy short into bullish gaps. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because, yes, like, that's what I'm saying. Of course, we can just boom, just dump, right? We can just get that dump. I have no problem missing out on a dump, right? Obviously, I want to catch it, but I could just go lighter size. You know what I'm saying? Because then if we do get the true dump, those contracts are going to do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of percent. You know what I'm saying? Dang, this actually hurts so bad looking at it dump, because literally while I was teaching, I'm telling them, like, yeah, bro, like, if we get this breakdown retest, this would be confirmation below, but we just didn't get enough time, in during the market hours. But it's okay. Like I said, they, how the market does. But yeah, so I'm not necessarily going to be looking to short into this, especially if we're getting this dump right now, right? We're literally going right to the magnet zone. We're going right to 748, right? In between where we are, 752 and really 740. You could say 745, honestly. If we did come down here, I'd still would be a little bit more hesitant, because we do have all of this right here. So if we lost this too, you'd be a little, you start to get a little scary. Even though this would be another breakout retest zone that never got tested in normal hours. So if we didn't buy it here, probably buy it here. But man, shorting is just, it's so terrifying in these bull markets, because look, mind you, we can have all of this right now, and then tomorrow morning, this already be erased. You know what I'm saying? They could hit this overnight, and then by tomorrow we'll open back up here. So it's still very scary trying to catch these shorts. You know what I'm saying? But either way, we'll see how it goes. But game plan, like I said, if it comes down here, I'm not gonna be necessarily looking to short initially. I'm gonna be looking for a bounce first. You know what I'm saying? Now whether we go lower, I don't know. Kind of like this, right? See how initially we came down here, bounced, right? Initially we came down, bounced, went lower, bounced, went lower. And I thought we probably would hold, get some sort of inverse head and shoulder, right? Just because, look left, right, buyers, 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 buyers. So today's actually the first day that we didn't actually hold the support when we went lower. That's why it took so much time. And that's why I said after the first couple candles where you see it not going anywhere, you just gotta leave it. You gotta leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll sit here, and that's why I didn't go live today. I didn't do anything today, because it's like, what's the point? Like, there's nothing going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not getting in direction. So what am I gonna hop on live for and just be like, so guys, you know what I'm saying? Just sit up here and yap. Like, nah, I got stuff to do. So downside, yeah, very, 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 very careful, right? 748 is going to be your line in the sand. You do not want to see this close below on a higher time frame, right? Higher time frame. I'm not talking about 5-minute bear flags. I'm not talking about, right? Because look, 5-minute bear flags have done y'all bad multiple times. Right here, 5-minute bear flag. Right here, 5-minute bear flag. Down here, bear flag. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful still, right? No matter how the smaller time frame looks, you got to be very careful trying to go short at support, right? But like I said, best case scenario, this is just a pull back, breakout, retest. You know what I'm saying? It's just a normal, nothing out of the ordinary, right? Something we always do, right? We get the consolidation, breakout, retest, breakout, retest, breakout, retest, right? Breakout, maybe it's just a retest. So best case scenario, just a breakout retest. We're gonna be looking for oversold dips to buy. If not, like I said, we already have our game plan for the downside targets. But I personally, I ain't gonna lie, if it doesn't give us an easy dump, like if it's not something like this, how it should have been over here, this would have been easy to catch if it would have done this during the day. But you know, it didn't happen. So if it does give us something easy, of course I'm gonna be in them shorts, right? We already have our lower targets, so we know where to get out, right? Gap, we know 748. Like I said, that's if they don't give it to us already. If they go ahead and do this overnight, and then we start to pop up, and then we start to roll back down, I'm definitely not gonna be looking for shorts then, because at that point we could just set a higher low anywhere from where this dump actually leads to. And as of now, this thing is not slowing down. This is so frustrating. I hate when they do this, bro. Like, they could have gave us this move during the day, bro. Would have made easy 300-400%, easy bankroll, you know. But nice, it is what it is. They do this all the time. But anyway, yeah. So if it holds, you know, we know what to look for. If it doesn't hold, we know what to look for. Let's move on. Move on to core weave. All right, core weave. Let's zoom out, of course. Turn off the indicators. We don't need those right now. Yeah, everything's kind of really, I ain't gonna lie, a lot of stuff that's just been popping is giving back all of its gains. So if this is some sort of double top, right, on the weekly, a little top two. If this does get back below $100, yeah, sorry, core weave, probably got a little bit more waiting to do, right? But if it does come back down, right, it holds, maybe the gap close here. If this holds, right, or if it just holds the neckline, if it just holds, right, doesn't go too low, it could still potentially curl back up, you know, in the meantime. Or, like I said, if it does come all the way back down here, but it just holds at 100, you still could maybe buy time, maybe have like a giant inverse head and shoulders, right? Something like this. But yeah, you don't want to go too crazy bearish just because it's a, you know, a single candle pullback. Like, you know, it is what it is. We've had these crazy pops. Everything's been pumping 1,000,000% a day, you know, so pullbacks are natural. You know, bull markets, it is what it is. But yeah, just be careful with it. It's still fairly new, you know, on the charts, but you know, just watch it. Watch that 100 if it does go that low. It could pick up here, but mind you, it's only, what's today? Wednesday? Yeah, it's only Wednesday. So you still have 2 days to see how the week closes. And we'll get more in-depth as the week closes because we'll have more, you know, say so. Hood is another one, just like all the other pops, right? Back in this nasty range. That's where we're headed. So it's either consolidation, giant overbought breakout retest, right? Continue back over, probably get that. Or if not, we're back in the range. We can't reclaim 80, right? Probably roll all the way back down to 70. So zoom out, wait for it. Remember, like I said, everything's just been pumping ridiculous, right? We knew eventually that it was going to be time to start pulling back, right? And that's why I said you're bullish until you're not, right? Same thing with SPY. Even SPY is already almost at 750. Bro, that's so sick. I got to stop looking at this. They really waited all day to give us the move we waited for, and that sucks. But yeah, Kava. Let's see Kava. I actually was waiting on Kava, and Kava still hasn't broken out. I've been waiting on Kava for a while. I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah, Kava, kind of the same thing though. You possibly have this argument for a inverse head and shoulder, but you wouldn't really want, like I said, you wouldn't really want to lose this gap where it is now on Kava. So it do like we got a little possible little gap fill, but yeah, you're definitely gonna need more days than this to get some confirmation. Not looking good on the weekly, you're right. But remember, we still have 2 whole days for the weekly, right? We still got a bunch of days to see how it all plays out. But as of now, right, you kind of have this breakout retest zone right around that 65 to 70 level. You don't really want to see it lose wherever it broke out from, right? You don't really want to see this, right? I'll move it down a little bit, right? So the zone that we're in now, right? You got a nice little break, retest, right? You got a little pop, but it's not necessarily looking good, right? You would have want to seen it, you would want to see it, pop up a little higher from this. And we, like I said, you still have time in the week. Everything just might be pulling back. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, be very careful coming into this. You don't want to, be overly aggressive short, but you don't want to be overly aggressive long yet either. Because remember, these things take time. These things take time to show us bullishness. Bearish side is usually a little quicker, but they still take time enough to show us. So yeah, be a little hesitant with that one. Yeah, I would just kind of wait for this, obviously the daily and the weekly to play out, right? See how the 4-hour plays out. So we kind of bounced here. If we can't get that bounce again, right, you can just aim for your next levels, right? You got to break back above. Boom, you got to break back above. And, you have a long way back up, but it is possible. But yes, yeah, again, just be careful with that. And OKLO. Again, all the trades I've been wanting to get in, everything's been dumping. Like after that gap up on Sunday, everything's just been dumping crazy. So yeah, kind of the same thing. We could be, have an argument for the inverse head and shoulder here. Not looking good right now, with everything dumping, especially in after hours, right? But same rules, man. You kind of had the zone, you got the breakout, you faked it, and if it rolls back under, it probably come down to 60. If you come down below that, you got 57 all the way to the new low. You wouldn't want it to come this far. And, if it does come that far, you do have a actual double top, right? Neckline break. And then there's no telling how low this thing can actually go, So be careful when they are having these huge drops. But, if you're looking for entries, then, if there is an entry to be had, you'll get it, right? You'll see it. You'll see some sort of, bullish divergence. You'll see a bounce. You'll see, a zone hold. You'll see something, you know what I'm saying? You'll see something happen. So, yeah, still not looking good for a buy yet. It's still, kind of like SPY. Like, it's not there yet, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta let it go, But, what else? OKLO, NU, right? Let's see what NU is. Never traded NU. I don't think. Zoom out, of course. Always want to zoom out. See what NU's doing. All right, you got a nice little opening range from here to here, right? This is a fairly new one too. All right, it's kind of like the same thing with the other one. So we're in a weird spot, right? We're in a weird spot. You can't really tell if we're going to continue lower just yet or if we're going to pop, right? Because we are in a zone where we previously, we popped here, right? Popped here, popped here, popped here. But, we came back, so now we're in it, right? And we have swept the previous swing low from this previous week, 3 weeks ago. All right, so before this week closes, if you're bullish, you don't want to see this close below, right? You want to see it recover, right? At least the 1225 level, right? Preferably 1325-ish, right? You get back above that floor, that's your best bet, right? Because remember, these things can just fall, right? The same way we don't buy it when it's going up because it can just continue to squeeze, right? It can always trick you back to the downside. Same thing here, right? You don't want to be too aggressive either because it can just pop right back, right? So a lot of times, I was telling my student today, most of the time we're waiting, right? Most of the times we're just waiting for a setup. That's why earlier today, that's why I said I didn't go live, because while we're waiting for it, I'm like, the market's not doing anything, right? There's no answers being given out to the questions we have of whether we should go long or short. So there's no reason to no reason to do anything. So all you got to do really is just set alerts. You can set alerts at the highs, right? If you want to set alerts at the bottom, you can just set alerts. That way you just enjoy your day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do what you want to do, just go have fun. But yeah, this definitely has to recover that 1325 to 1350 first before I'd be like, all right, cool, now it looks good, right? Because you could, be setting up for a nice little weekly inverse head and shoulder, right? Get back above. But remember, just like everything else, these things take time. Right, so if you're looking for swings and all that kind of stuff, you're going to have to let it play out. Another one that I wanted to go over that I didn't trade, but I wanted to explain to people why you can't do certain things, right? So first off, we caught NVDA, right, on the breakout. Boom, we got the breakout of the channel. Very nice, right? We had a main target at 230. Yesterday, we hit that target, sold our contract. After that, once it started coming down, people were just blindly buying in, right? Which you can't do because, one, you have to wait for a test at a certain level, right? So those two levels being 225 and 222, right? We were in about right here. People were still buying calls. You can't do that, right? You have to remember, you have to wait. You have to be patient because you will get candles like this. And then you just get cooked. And then everybody's like, oh, NVIDIA sucks. What's up with this price action? Blah, 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 blah. No, the price action was pretty accurate, right? We took out pre-market high. We came down to pre-market low, right? We got our sweep of the high. Once you saw this nasty up-down sweep, same thing with the downside. Whenever you see those nasty downside sweeps, it's probably going to go back in the other direction, right? So you can't just blindly buy. You have to look left. Where's support at? Okay, right here. Did we get any bullish momentum and support? No, you can't buy. 222, did we get any bullish momentum and support? Kinda. But when the market opened, it had already dumped and sold off everything, right? And right now to our next level. So if we can't get no more support again, it's going to roll back down again, probably to 200. Right? And then they'll probably pull SPY back. Most things will probably pull back, Because mind you, everything's been going nuts. Everything's been going crazy, just 20%, 10%, 5%. Everybody's just been getting all these free percent to the upside. Like, you knew eventually this was going to pull back. I've been telling you, like, hey, as it goes higher, you still have to be careful because we don't know at what point, the market is going to shift on us. And even with SPY, the market's not necessarily shifting, we just broke down below, whatever that recent support was, which is right here, 754. No big deal, right? Remember, I always tell y'all, it's not time to freak out, right? Not yet, right? Consolidation, pop. And this is either going to grab this liquidity and squeeze us back higher to whatever the next high is, whatever the next leg is, right? We will see it. We will catch it. But if not, it'll come back in here, and then it'll lose it, probably feel these gaps go lower. But, and like I said, if that happens, we'll know what to do. You know what I'm saying? We'll be able to watch it and see if we get a bullish recovery, or if we just set up for a high, a low, and then maybe they set us up for a lower high, and then we go lower low. You know what I'm saying? So we will see the true move over time. This is not just gonna magically catch us off guard. It's not gonna, well, we didn't see this coming. And that's why I said today, like, I already knew probably for the most part. I was like, I'm probably gonna take this L today, right? Probably gonna take the red day, especially because I had already swung. So I was like, I already opened up red, so I'm like, I'll probably just take that unless we get another move. I did take the puts, but I sold, like I said, once I played level to level. So once we got back below, once we hit that trigger, I sold, right? 756, I sold. I waited, they did get the breakdown, but that retest, if this would have been a clean breakdown retest, very simple, took out that swing low, it would have been a lot easier, but it took forever. That thing took some hours. So I'm like, I'm not about to sit here and do this, wasting my time, So, but like I said, while I was teaching, we did identify the breakdown retest. But we just ran out of time. It didn't give us enough confirmation while the market was still open if this was something we should have done, right? It definitely looked good. Breakdown retest, boom, continuation. Very nice, textbook. But, when the market's getting that close to closing, I'm not gonna, right? Because we've seen this happen like this. Right? You get the move down, so it's like, oh, should we swing short? And then the next day you were, at all-time high. So it's like, I'm not going to do that, not into support, And if it wants to go, I say, hey, we'll catch it tomorrow. And shit did it overnight. It is what it is, right? Look at that daily daily chart. It still closed at a pretty good level. So, yeah, man. So, again, nothing too crazy. Let's check the VIX one time real quick before we go. VIX didn't even do nothing. The VIX actually went lower. Bro, the VIX actually dumped into the close. So, what I'm saying? Again, that's why I said, like, some of them don't make sense. You're going to have to take a L, right? If you didn't already, profit and just get out, if you're already in, it's cool, bro. It is, it's okay. It's okay. So, it is what it is. We already have our next level, 748, right? We'll see what happens there. Breakdown retest, y'all know what to do. But best case scenario, easiest case scenario, we just get the most simple trap, what we've always been doing, right? Maybe a little bit lower, somehow magically recover, Benjamin Netanyahu deal, oh, we love, and blah, 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 whatever the case may be. That's the easiest way out. But, if not, then, we'll just play it the way we play it. So, that'll be it, man. Y'all know the vibes. Keep it simple, man. Keep it as simple. Remember, it's as simple as you make it. Everything in life is as simple as you make it. If you're just always stressed out, you always got anxiety about everything, then this probably ain't gonna work for you. You know what I'm saying? You're probably gonna be super stressed, like, oh, what about this trade? What about this trade? No, you can't do that. It is what it is, right? And even though I sat and I ate that L today, what I'm supposed to do? I'm not gonna be like, revenge, you know what I'm saying? And then try to double down, and then you end up losing more. Sometimes you just gotta take that L. And then, prepare for the next day, prepare for the next play. And that's what we're doing here. So, we'll come back tomorrow with a game plan. We'll have pre-market hours, give us some clues what's going on, and we'll get it back tomorrow, get it back in blood, just like we always do. So, yeah, man, y'all keep it simple, just like always. If you have a red day, it is what it is, bro. I'm about to get ready for these finals, bro. Can't be stressing about the red day. Yeah, finals to watch. We got basketball today. So we got, some good slips to put in today. I'm probably going to take, this finna sound crazy, but I might take the under on Wemby's rebounds. I know. Or his fantasy score. I might take the under on his fantasy score. But I'm definitely taking Cat, Mr. After All That. Yeah, I'm taking him for assist, and I'm taking my boy De'Aaron Fox for assist. So, we don't just give out plays, you know what I'm saying? We really giving out plays for real. So, yeah, I'll see y'all, man. Y'all have a good night. Y'all be blessed. Keep God first. Stay patient, man. Patience is a game of patience. Again, a lot of people I've seen in the chat, most of us had a pretty rough day. It is what it is, bro. But it's just, sometimes markets, you just be like, nah. Middle finger to all y'all. It is what it is, bro. So, y'all be blessed. Y'all stay easy. Keep it simple. we'll be right back at it tomorrow, right? We're gonna catch some crazy moves. You know, hopefully they just do make it easy for us. We can go live, catch some stuff. But if not, we'll wait again, right? We'll be more patient. It is what it is. So y'all be good. Y'all see y'all tomorrow and have fun. And go Spurs.